Ghana's peace, sometimes taken for granted, faces real tests today. From long-running communal conflicts that refuse to die to the rising heat of our political season and then unresolved tensions in places like Boko, the warning signs are unmistakable. As the nation awaits the Santahene's pronouncement after his final mediation on the decades-long conflict in Boko, in this edition of Hot Issues, we ask, could that bring the desperately needed solution? I am Kemini Amano, and I sit down with the institution at the center of these pressures, the National Peace Council. By themselves, have been in the headlines not only for mediation efforts, but also for their own internal struggles, limited resources, logistical constraints, and even the threat of eviction from their headquarters earlier this year. In this edition, we confront these issues. My next guest is the chairman of the National Peace Council, Most Reverend Emmanuel Kofi Fiani.
The beginning, life feels heavy. But then, hope arrives. Star 446 hash saves you in the Dewa Chop Money draw at 10 a.m.
Congratulations!
Give your dream a chance. Even better, like life.
Reverend, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you very much.
Let's start off with the most recent issues that have happened. Religious tolerance in our senior high schools, which appear to, for some people, reflect a bigger national issue. What has the Peace Council made of what we are seeing with Christian sects, the Muslim sect, and their coexistence in our senior high schools?
Thank you very much for the question. It's not just a question of Christian groups and Muslim groups, but it's a whole question of religious tolerance. So the National Peace Council, over the years, at least the last 2 mandates, so the last about 6 years, has been working on religious tolerance in schools. Different stakeholder meetings were held, and finally, last year, we were able to put together, with the help of the various education unit heads, the COMEO, put together a memorandum of understanding, which various religious leaders of the various churches and Islamic groups, together with the military and the police, because they have education units, signed. This year in April, on the 11th of April, the Director General of Ghana Education Service signed it also. So a few days after that, on the 14th, we launched it to show that there is a common framework of understanding of what religious tolerance should be in the various schools.
Right. So I want us to stick with this MOU, right? Because I see that it was signed by 13 stakeholders, including the Ahmadiyya Mission. Also, I note that there is the Office of the National Chief Imam here as well. This basically says that the mission that builds the school has also make room for other religions of the students in the school. Do you feel that we've been able to do this as a country?
It is a project, because over the years, this has been there, this practice of tolerating other religious groups in faith-based schools. Because it is clear that the various faith-based groups founded these schools for a purpose, an educational purpose, which is within the context of their own religious beliefs. But over the years, each group has tried to live out this one. But now we have formalized it that all groups do accept. So it means for me that if I am a Catholic and I go to a Methodist school, I know that when I go there, the Methodists have their own ethos, they have their own faith expression. I am agreeing that I would follow what is there, even though I know that they will also give me room to practice my Catholic faith.
Isn't that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It is, within the Christian circles, it is ecumenism. But within the context of the other religions, it becomes interreligious dialogue. Respecting and accepting or tolerating the other religions, giving them room within the scope that is there. Because you know the basic religious practice will be that of the founder or the faith-based groups that have founded the institute. But you make room for the other also to practice his or her religion to the extent that it is possible and doesn't infringe on the general framework of the school.
I see. But the reason I'm asking if that is not wrong is we'll basically be telling Christians to go to mosque on Fridays and then tell Muslims to go to church on Sundays. Yes. That is forcing somebody to practice a religion they don't believe in.
Yeah, I would say you are not forcing the person, because in choosing to go to that particular school, you know the tenets of the school. So you have made an option. You have made an option to go to a Muslim school as a Christian. And so you will be following the Muslim practice within the school frame, because if you don't do that, then there will be some people will be left out, and that can be cause for indiscipline. So in making your choice to go to a particular school, you also accept at that time to follow the regulations of that school. And this is what has been agreed upon and understanding in this memorandum of understanding by all the faith-based groups.
Why should the faith-based groups still have a lot of power over the schools when they are publicly funded?
Public funding is not ownership.
Okay.
And public funding doesn't dictate what is the tenet of the school or the ethos. Okay. The public funding for me is because the state has a social responsibility towards all citizens' education. But the faith-based groups come in, as they have done even before the state as a Ghana came into existence, as they have done, to educate their members in the faith through education. Mm-hmm. So the state only comes in to help or assist, but the state doesn't own the schools. So every faith-based group that has a school has it as a means of evangelization for his members. But any other person who comes in is welcome.
So the faith-based schools are a means of evangelization for the faith communities.
For the faith communities, because it is also educating their own members about building them up, let me say, with their morals and their whole concept to life.
But how much do these faith-based organizations, faith-based communities spend on the schools? They are publicly funded with the taxpayers' money. The tax is not colored Islam, traditional religion, or Christian.
Yes, the tax is not colored, but the beneficiaries are colored.
Isn't that the problem?
No, it is not a problem because
in modern day Ghana,
no, because Ghana, being as it is, accepts the different faith-based groups or different religions, and these citizens are beneficiaries of the taxpayers' money.
I'm trying to understand that, because for a lot of people, if it is a publicly funded institution, despite bearing the Christian name, then it should not evangelize necessarily, forcing Muslims to go to church on Sundays, and then in the Muslim case, forcing Christians to go to the mosque on Fridays.
I don't think it's a majority opinion.
It's not?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a majority opinion.
But what would the religious organizations lose if they allow people to practice their religions the way they deem fit until they come
they're allowed to practice it, but within the framework of the school's regulations,
okay,
which is based on the particular faith group that has founded that school. And as I said earlier, the schools were founded for a purpose.
Right.
If government supports, it doesn't mean they lose their right of ownership or they lose the principles for which they founded the schools. And I believe if a parent sends a child to a particular school, it is because of what that school stands for. If it stands for certain values, it is because those values have been inculcated in the students by that particular faith group. And so others want to go to that school. So the moment you want your child to come out with the same values as you see in those who have been there before, it means your child also needs, as a parent, must make the right choice.
Most Reverend, you know that in today's placement, secondary school placement, sometimes students are placed in these places.
But they are placed because they have chosen it. And they and their parents are given the form and they choose where they want to go.
So I get the sense that the Peace Council does not see any problem with the situation at hand.
Not the Peace Council alone, but having had meetings or held stakeholder meetings, the various faith groups that have schools, so Christians, Muslims, they have seen that this is the way to go.
I see.
Because they all signed the Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay.
After a long period of studying the document and all that, they all signed it.
We have also come to understand that in this Memorandum of Understanding, there is religious place of worship, which says that in the case of religious place of worship, mission-based schools could make available space of worship in toleration of diverse religious groups. Our understanding is that this has not been made for the students.
It is there in some schools. Maybe you haven't seen it in all schools. Okay. Schools provide places of worship for people of other faiths. And they do practice.
So in a school where this is not happening, and again, just for the purpose of our audience,
yes.
This document was signed April 15th, 2025, yes. Which is progress on all the years that these schools have existed. So in a school where this is not happening, they are going against the Memorandum of Understanding.
So what we have done so far is we have to educate or introduce this Memorandum of Understanding to all the management of all the schools, which are mission schools and also private schools, we said. So now that education is going on. So that those who are not doing it know that this is what the owners of the schools have agreed upon with the help of the National Peace Council.
I see. So this matter that is in court now, is the Peace Council going to do anything about it, perhaps facilitate it out of court?
Well, I cannot speak on that alone because the Peace Council has not met to take a decision. But as far as I see, it has become a legal issue. So it is with the Supreme Court. It will be up to the judges now to come up with a judgment. But there is also another way out. The one who took the case there can decide probably to withdraw it.
Do you find that it will be more prudent in the, the ecosystem we find ourselves now to withdraw it and have it arbitrated?
Yes, in the ecosystem that we have, and seeing what has been done in collaboration with the National Peace Council by the various stakeholders, Christians and Muslims, we need to use dialogue instead of law or judgment to resolve the problem. And I don't see the problem still exists because the problem has already been solved. So I don't see the reason why this case should be still in court.
Well, I think it's the other part which you tell me is not majority opinion. The fact that, this MOU still says that come to the mosque even if you're not a Christian, or go to church even if you're not.
Because that is the framework of the school you have chosen. And I think
and that's a problem that they're hoping the court case will deal with.
No, but I do not know. I don't want to read the mind of the judges. But if somebody has his house and you decide to come and live in that person's house, are you going to tell the person to leave aside his or her rules of the house in order to let you do what you want to do, or the person will accommodate you?
Do the churches still contribute financially to the schools?
Yes, we do.
Is that the case?
Yes.
Even after all the money government pumps into these schools?
Well, check with the heads of institutions.
I see.
Government does not give everything. Government does not give everything.
I mean, do you have any examples to share? Which church or mission continues to pump money into secondary schools in this country?
The Catholic Church does in some of the schools where there is need and we get the resources. We help.
Like what?
With,
like in what?
With infrastructure, for example.
Infrastructure. Okay.
Yes. When we can, we also help. And we also lobby with other bodies to provide what is needed.
I mean, to the best of your knowledge, which school recently has the Catholic Church built infrastructure for or spent money on?
I do not have it offhand, but I know we do.
I see.
I don't have it offhand.
Away from, zooming out on this issue and away from just the secondary school level of this, there are those who think that this reflects a form of religious intolerance in this country. Do you feel the same?
I wouldn't say so, because we have gone a long way with religious tolerance in Ghana.
Are we not pretending to be religiously tolerant of each other?
I don't think so. If somebody is not sincere with it, that one I cannot say. But I can say sincerely that we are religiously tolerant.
But have you heard some of the comments people have passed against Muslims since this issue popped up?
Probably because it's the Muslim who took the case to court.
But it doesn't warrant. Probably. It doesn't warrant castigation of a whole Islamic sect.
I will not speak for those people because I will not do that. Because within the Catholic faith, we practice interreligious dialogue, respecting the religion of the other person. But that doesn't mean giving up my own. So I wouldn't say what you said. Some people have said.
And which is why some people say that, look, these dialogues, these show of unity is all on the surface. It's pretense.
It is
but
not pretense.
Deep down, there is religious intolerance in this country. It's just that people can't act.
No, it is not pretense. If people are convinced of what they are saying, they are convinced that we need to be religiously tolerant in order to live together, it cannot be a pretense. And I am convinced of that that is what we all have to aim at.
Is there anything that can be done now to ensure that this issue does not go beyond what it is?
It will be, as far as I see it, to continue the dialogue, interreligious dialogue, so that we understand one another and we know that we are all brothers. We do not go against one another, but respecting one another's religion also means that everybody does the same thing. I respect yours, you respect mine.
Are there any efforts that Peace Council embarks on to ensure religious unity in the country? Do you have things you already do
We have been involved mainly in this need for tolerance in schools. Because in Ghana, as far as I can see on the desk of the complaint section of the National Peace Council, we do not have direct cases of religious intolerance.
I see. We'll move away from this issue as you say that it's being worked on behind the scenes as you await the judgment from the court as well. But assuming that this judgment from the court does not go in the favor of any religious sect, because again, people confuse that, or people think that this will only affect Christians, but it will also affect Islamic schools, which means that you cannot force a Christian child to go to the mosque on Friday.
Yes.
Now, in the event that the court agrees with that position, that no child will be forced to practice the ethos of whichever religious organization owns the secondary school they go to, what would you do?
I wouldn't be able to speak for the owners of the school because that would be up to them to take a decision based on the law.
But obviously they won't be happy. The Peace Council will have to step in.
No, if they make a complaint to the Peace Council to step in, then we'll hear what is the case they want the Peace Council to handle.
But as a religious leader, what would you think about that?
As a religious leader and as a Catholic, then we have to decide or ask ourselves if we want to remain within the assisted school system or not.
Some have said that then government should give back their schools to them fully. Is that the way to go?
We as Catholic bishops, we are asking for giving back the management of the schools to the Catholics because the children who are there, as I said earlier, are children of the taxpayers, and government has a social responsibility towards all the citizens. So we cannot say we oblige some people to be in schools that the government is not assisting. And government has seen a reason in assisting these schools to provide services that is for all. And we don't do it only in the area of education. We do it also, for example, in the area of healthcare, where we provide healthcare and the government supports what we are doing by paying the critical staff. You see. So it is collaborating with government to provide the social services that are needed for the development of all citizens.
Is that what you think is right, returning management of the schools to the missions?
Management of the schools to the missions will be a plus because then the owners of the schools will also be involved more than it is now in what is happening in the schools because with management. For example, if a particular faith-based group has its own ethics and direction for what character training and all that, it is good that this faith-based group is also involved in selecting who teaches or works in that school. Because if you do not select people who would buy into your frame of mind or into the character building you want to, or the ethics you have, you can have some who do not collaborate.
Most Reverend, how did the missions cede the schools to government, management of the schools to government?
It was a slow process because it was supposed to be a partnership.
Okay.
But gradually over the years, I don't know how it happened. History would be able to explain that. Over the years, the Ghana Education Service took over many of the functions to the point that now the education units of the various faith groups are practically powerless.
They are redundant.
Yes, they have become redundant because appointment of teachers, which was formerly being done, or employment of teachers, which was formerly being done by the units, have been taken over by the education service. Payment is done by government, we know, but appointment of heads and teachers to the schools are now being done just by the Ghana Education Service without reference to the owners of the schools.
In your opinion, has that affected evangelism or it has affected quality of education?
It has affected quality of education more than evangelization because the quality of education that is given is also based on the ethos of the school or of the faith-based group that has found it. And that is what you use to mold the person who is in that school and comes out to be a particular product. That's why somebody by preference will go to, let me say, a Catholic school. Somebody by preference will go to a Muslim school because of the outcome. But when we do not have a hand in the management, we are not able to mold the people the way that will give the results we are looking for.
Let's move on to other issues that have to deal directly with the Peace Council. Because it's November 30 and is the deadline for the Otumfuo to make his pronouncement on the Bawku mediation, I want to start off with that. The Peace Council is already excited about what that announcement or pronouncement will be. But why is that the case?
It's because we want peace in Ghana. And we have followed this Bawku conflict for so many years. And we also realize that a lot of resources go into conflict management. So if it can be resolved, those resources can be used for other things, like for the development of the place. And that's why we are interested in what will be the outcome of this negotiation.
The mediation has been on for years. Otumfuo has been at the helm of affairs for the mediation period as well. What is different this time that convinces the Peace Council that we will bring an end to the conflict in Bawku?
It's because we have the faith that you should never give up when you are working for peace. You negotiate, you mediate, continue to mediate, because you change or you begin to understand more what is the cause of the conflict. And the parties also begin to understand their, call it, let's say, the opponents. But what you look for is trying to find a point of reconciliation and unity.
Is there any different mechanism that is being employed? Because we can say that these things you've just talked about have been applied over the years, and those mediation talks still failed. So what is different this time?
What is different will be, I don't know what exactly Otumfuo, what he's using, what system he's using. But what will be different is bringing new dimensions to the mediation. Because when you are mediating, you listen to the parties and you propose a middle way, which will be acceptable to all. If it is not accepted, you go back to your drawing board and see what can we do better? What can we propose which will be acceptable to all?
But you are the National Peace Council. If you cannot tell me what the new mediation format is, what is different about this time on mediation in the Bawku conflict, what exactly is the council then doing? Because
this case of the Bawku mediation with Otumfuo has been assigned to him by the president.
Is it because the Peace Council cannot do it?
No, he decided to do it. That's not because the Peace Council cannot do it. And behind the scene, we are supporting.
How are you supporting?
Technically, our people offer the necessary advice to the team that is with Otumfuo.
So it's not because the Peace Council cannot solve the problems of Bawku or deal with conflict decisively in this country, which is why the president had to outsource it another time to Menchia Palace?
I don't think so. I think seeing that the way the case is between two chiefs, particularly between two chiefs, he wanted to involve a respectable figure of the chieftaincy in Ghana.
The Peace Council will not be the first to tell me we do not know the mechanism that the Menchia Palace is employing in mediating the Bawku conflict. Is this being done in secret?
No, it's not being done in secret, but it's also not public.
But you are not public. The other stakeholder I spoke to is not public. So why don't you know how this is being done if you're providing support?
Yeah, as I told you, the support being provided is from the technical team of the National Peace Council.
Right.
And we have not discussed it as a matter of the Peace Council, but we offer the technical staff, offers whatever they can to the process. Because the process has been given to Otumfuo. And so he is the lead figure. He is the one who should direct how things go. And he is the one who should make pronouncements about what they have done or the process they have used. So I think we can wait for the 31st of November, 1st of December.
The 30th of November, 1st December.
Yeah, when Otumfuo will be making a pronouncement on the mediation process.
I see. But I want us to look at the issue, even as we wait on Otumfuo's pronouncement. We can hope that that will be the final mediation.
That's what we are all hoping.
Absolutely.
That it will come to an end.
It will come to an end. But does it come across to the Peace Council that the factions involved are ready? Or is it an issue that the leaders of the factions are ready?
Before it was entrusted to Otumfuo, we have been negotiating with the parties separately. We have been dealing with them from the regional office, from the Regional Peace Council. They have been meeting them, trying to bring them to a common understanding. But we didn't succeed to bring the two parties together before the president entrusted the thing to Otumfuo. Because you have to go slowly with them. You know, you go talk with this one, he tells you why he will not accept what has been said. So you go to the other party too. So you have to be going back and forth. It's a long process. It's a slow, long process. But you always have to have hope that one day you will succeed in
So which
mediation.
means that your process had to truncate because Otumfuo had, taken over
Not
mediation.
truncate, but we suspended it.
You suspended it?
Yes, we
All right.
suspended.
So
We
the
didn't truncate
the
them.
president then essentially curtailed your process to bring peace to Boko.
Well, I think he also saw the need to use another channel, and that need was the chieftaincy channel through Otumfuo to do it among the chiefs.
Right.
Let the chief handle this matter with his brother chiefs.
Well, I can't wait to hear what pronouncements the Otumfuo makes today, tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see about that. But why do you think the people themselves, based on what you have learned since you've been a part of the process, why has this conflict stayed so long? Why is it so prolonged?
It is, I believe, because each party wants to be the winner. But I don't think in conflict resolution we should look to be winners. It has to be a win-win situation. You have to give up something in order to gain something. That is what we need. And we need, in the end, to see that we have a common cause. And if we are not able to do that, then parties do not come together. Because if you want to be the winner by all means and your brother or sister the loser, it doesn't lead to lasting peace.
And if it fails again?
If it fails, we will also try to mediate.
Again?
Oh, yes, because we cannot stop it. We only have to continue and hope that we will reach that goal that we are all looking for, peace in Boko.
Do you believe that there is political interference in the mediation of the conflict, particularly, mediation of conflicts generally, but particularly in the Boko case? Are there some political underpinnings for which we haven't been able to resolve it?
Unfortunately, in Ghana, we see everything in political colors. So, whether it is true or not, you hear people talking about political coloring in all conflicts.
Are the politicians making it difficult for you to resolve conflicts up north, most especially the Boko conflict?
I wouldn't say directly. I wouldn't say they are directly making it difficult for us because we work with them. We work with the politicians as we go through our processes of mediation in all the cases that we have. And we need to collaborate with them. So I wouldn't say they are, because I haven't seen had any direct interference in what we are doing. If it is a silent type of thing, I wouldn't be able to say. But not directly, we haven't heard that.
Are there people profiting from the conflict, for which reason it has
People always
prolonged?
profit from conflict. Human beings, we profit from conflict, and sometimes we want it to continue so that we can continue to gain. we have a lot of question of the circulation of arms. Somebody is profiting from that. What is profiting from that?
We've looked at Alavanyo in Konya. Then there were Binyiri also this year. Maybe we should start this way. The ones that you've been able to deal with, Alavanyo and Konya. Triponi, you were able to deal with Triponi as well in the past, very long past.
Yeah, those are past.
Yes. We also saw some in Sefi that you were able to deal with as well. More recently, we are seeing Binyiri, and then the Nkwanta conflict as well. Yes. Talk to us about what work the Peace Council has done in those cases.
The Binyiri, which is a conflict between the Birifo and the Gonja, basically. When the last conflict erupted, because the Peace Council, we came up with a holding statement, but thank God the Minister of Interior, and the minister under which we fall, put in place an inquiry committee, which has two of our members, let me say staff, somebody from the regional Peace Council and the executive secretary from the National Peace Council Secretariat here. So we are involved in trying to resolve the problem or mediate between the parties. A number of times, the committee visited the area to negotiate. Recently, the committee has been able to bring together and, let me say so, reconcile, mediate between the various factions of the Birifo. You know. So with that, they can also now speak with a common mind. Yes, and that, I think, is an important step towards the mediation with the Gonja side.
Right. What are some of the challenges you face as a council when, dealing with conflicts?
We face challenges principally of resources. The resources are very meager, if not unavailable.
Right.
Yeah, that is one of them. But also, we face this challenge of getting people to go along with the Peace Council and know our mandate, which is to prevent, to mediate, and then to resolve conflicts, and also to promote peace, to go along with that. Because sometimes the Peace Council, people think the Peace Council is like a judge. You should come and say this one is right, that one is wrong. No, that is not our mandate. We are not there to judge the people, but to mediate. If we cannot prevent and it starts, we see how do we mediate to manage the conflict so that it doesn't expand.
Reverend, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go deeper into the resources and how it creates an obstacle in the council achieving its mandate. This is Hot Issues. My guest is Most Reverend Emmanuel Fiano. He is the chairman of the National Peace Council. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
So we're asking for land or possibility of having our own secretariat, build our own secretariat so that we know we are permanent there. We didn't succeed in doing that, but the developer was after us because he wanted to do his work. So finally, sometime this year, the government found us this house, which is a family house.
How many bedrooms?
4 bedrooms. So the offices are shared out in the bedrooms and what we used to be the kitchen and also the garage.
Do you have an office here?
No, I don't have an office.
So how do you operate as chairman of the Peace Council?
I do remote.
Remote work?
Yes.
But how do you mediate conflict in doing it remote?
Well, we are managing.
Does that weaken the ability of the Peace Council to extensively do its work?
Now, the inability to point to a place which is ours is demoralizing.
It's demoralizing.
And you see, all the eminent members on the board hold dear this mandate that we have. But you get demoralized when you do not have what it takes to do the work.
It does that, and you know, I asked about weakness because if, as conflict mediator, you come in with a lower hand already. First, you don't have a good place to live, and by living, you know, to do your work, right? Yes. People will think that when they give you money, you would just mediate the conflict in their favor.
Well, why in their favor? Because
because you don't have money and they'll take care of you.
No, as much as possible, the Peace Council tries also not to be too dependent on government because we want our independence, our autonomy, so that we are not biased. So we know that in the Act 818, there's a provision for a peace fund.
Yeah.
And our hope is that having launched the peace fund, we will get donors who will donate to the fund so that we can resource ourselves.
When was the fund launched?
About 2 years ago.
How much have you raised in that fund?
400,000 so far.
For 2 years?
Yes, 400,000 for 2
years. Is that enough?
No, it's woefully insufficient. And we have decided not to touch it. Because if we touch the 400,000 with the work that we do, we will deplete it.
Do people realize that conflict prevention and resolution is not cheap? Do you get the impression that we understand that?
No, people don't understand what it takes to work for peace or to prevent conflict. People do not understand. Unfortunately, when the conflict is there, then people shout, where is the Peace Council? Where is the Peace Council? The Peace Council doesn't have the resources. So we have to go looking, scratching, or begging to get. I can give you this example, for example, that some agencies do help us a lot. The example of the Catholic Relief Services helping us in the northern part of the country to form peace groups in all the regions there. Right. Then we rely also on the UNDP for some funding when we need to run programs which are in line with their mission.
Is the Peace Council present in all 16 regions?
Yes, we are, but I would say not adequately. Because,
how so?
Yeah, because some of the regions do not have the personnel that they need to be able to function well. We are building up resources, human resource, right, and also their infrastructure needs.
So you're short-staffed?
Oh, yes.
And then you also don't have infrastructure across the country?
No.
And in districts, you are not present at all?
No, we are not present in the districts.
Okay.
But just last week, we have a leeway, I would say, that in the Eastern region, the regional minister has inaugurated peace desk officers. So at least one person in the district office is a reference person. But we would prefer, going by the mandate, Act 818, to have district peace offices.
How important will they be to your work?
It will bring us closer to the grassroots where the conflicts are. Then we have people on the ground who can study the situation, give the necessary information for analysis and resolution where possible.
So where you are not present, you have to leave Accra and go there?
No, the regions. They go from the regions, from the regional
capitals,
capitals, they go.
I see. Don't you get budgetary allocation from the Interior Ministry?
Our budgetary allocation goes mainly for the staff, payment of staff, and providing for the offices.
I see.
But for these other things like organizing workshops, doing advocacy and all that, we do not get enough.
How much money have you received as your budget or part of your budget from the Interior Ministry?
For this year, we received, or we had to receive 5 million, let me put it so, because we are in November, but we have received 2.4 million. But we are hoping that before December ends, we will get the rest.
But December is tomorrow.
Oh yes, before it ends.
Before it ends.
Before we go on Christmas
So you're giving yourself 30 extra days.
We are hoping. We have to live in hope.
But hope will not fund your existence.
Yes, but hope does not disappoint. So whatever we get, we'll be able to use it for...
That must be the hope of Christ.
What we can do.
Not the hope of man.
We believe in Christ.
I see. Would assume that Christ will perform a miracle for you to get your budgetary allocation. But what happens when your budget is late?
Well, there are a number of things on our program which we cannot implement. And so we shift them to the following year. That's what happens. So if we don't have the money, and if we don't get funding agencies to assist us, then we do not carry them out.
Is this the same money you use to do your work, for instance, conflict prevention, conflict resolution, or this takes care of something else?
You mean the budget?
The 5 million you're supposed to get.
No, it takes care mainly of the office needs, the running costs, and all that. But if we have workshops and other conferences and all that, no, it doesn't include that, mainly, no.
I see. And if you have to go and resolve something, that's not the money you use? Or that's the money you use?
We will use that.
We use part of that.
Part of
so if it delays, it means that it also prevents you from doing your work.
Mediation delayed.
Mediation delayed. Mediation delayed. I see. But have you got any response as to why your allocations delay or your disbursements? Because it's been allocated. So have you had any response as to why your disbursements delay?
I think it's a general thing in Ghana. It's not only the Peace Council. When the money is available, it's given.
Is the 5 million enough?
No, it's woefully inadequate, I would say.
Is that why the Peace Council said it needs $1 million?
Yes, because you remember we were asked if we want to do our work completely, how much will be our budget? And the former chairman, knowing our needs and all that, put it at that amount. It is not too much because at that time, last year, we had a lot of programs to carry out on the election decisionary process. And that was the budget we prepared. So he didn't take the figure out of the air, but he based it on what we were hoping that if we want to do all that we have to do, this will be the amount. But we didn't get it, so we didn't do everything that we planned for the election year.
I see. What do you say to people who even think that the Peace Council should not be government funded?
If it's not government funded, where do we get the funds?
Well,
to do peace.
You raise the funds with your donor partners?
No. If we are going to raise with donor partners, then it means they must also understand why we are working for peace. And if it is a statutory body with an act of parliament and calls for some form of a government financing, I don't see why people should say we shouldn't be financed from there. We try as much as possible not to be too dependent on government, so that we can have our independence, I would say.
Has there ever been a time that lack of funding has caused you not to be able to resolve a conflict or prevent one?
Yes, if we had the resources, we would have been engaged in more conflict resolutions. You know, on the desk of the National Peace Council, we have over 300 complaints.
300 complaints?
More than that.
This year alone?
No, it is over the years. What is there has not been resolved. So this year in particular, at our last board meeting, we made a proposal that for next year, let's look at some of them which are urgent and see if we can handle those with the meager resources we have, because it is overwhelming.
You mentioned earlier some staffing issues. How many staff members do you need to have an ideal situation where you're properly present across the country and your work is going on well?
Recently at our board meeting, the HR presented the human resource needs, and we'll be needing about 400 people to cater for the 16 regions as at now. And that does not include the districts.
And if you included the district, assuming you had a district desk, how many people would you ideally?
Yeah, ideally, we need about 1,000. If you look at the organogram, we need about 1,000 people.
How many people do you have now?
You want to know?
Yes.
83.
83?
Yes.
That's all you've got?
Yes, with some secondment, which brings it to about 115.
And the secondments are not permanent positions?
No.
You can lose them anytime?
Yes.
Your work is hard?
Very hard.
But we don't see it?
No, because people don't understand the work of the Peace Council. And they think we only work when there is election. But the election issue is just a small part of the work of the National Peace Council.
Maybe you come out when there is election, that's why.
Not that we come out. It is the publicity that projects our work at that time. But the other things we are doing, like these conflict resolutions and all that, it doesn't come to the press. And it's also because of the way our mandate is. You see, when you are mediating between people, you don't go making noise about it. Even if you resolve the problem, it shouldn't be up to the Peace Council to say it. It is the parties that will say it. So that's why people don't know sometimes what we are doing. And they only see us during the election period because there's a lot of publicity around that one.
How many cases have been brought before the Peace Council and have been unresolved?
Currently, we have on our desks over 300 complaints.
Okay. And you haven't been able to resolve these ones?
No.
Is it because you are not working or you don't have the capacity to do them?
It's the human resource.
It's the human resource.
It's principally the human resource.
Which is slowing down. I see.
Progress. Because mediation takes time and you need people who do the mediation. We don't have. If you have a staff of 83, you cannot cater for over 300 conflicts or complaints.
I see. So the Peace Council is doing some work, but not all of the work.
No, we are trying our best.
Very well.
We're trying our best in the conditions in which we live.
I want to talk about the organogram of the Peace Council. Why has there not been an Islamic chair since inception?
We elect. You see, the day of the inauguration of the new council, with all the representatives from that form the Peace Council, we do a nomination and secret ballot. So it is just coincidental that up to now we have not had an Islamic or a traditional religious practitioner as
it's all been Christians.
Yes, but within the council, that doesn't pose a problem. Who is elected?
Does it look good for inclusivity?
Well, it is the election. And you see, when you are electing, you look at the times in which we are, what is before you, what you are going to do, and say, who can lead us?
But even Vatican has ensured that although there is election, it comes out with inclusivity.
Well, you say inclusivity. I don't know what you see as inclusivity because it is the cardinals who meet and they look at the state of the church and what the church needs at that time, the particular character they need. And in their reflection and prayer, they pick the person and it's also by secret ballot,
Yes.
then they pick the person who is one. And you have noticed that in the last conclave, the names that came up by the press and all that, they were not voted for.
So it's not
Or
an
they
it's
didn't
not it's not an intentional preference for non-Christian leaders.
No, it is not intentional. It is not, no.
I see.
It is just that the council, the eminent members reflect, and then they decide on whom to vote for.
What would
They
you
choose a
say to
person.
people who have the ability to help the Peace Council?
They are always welcome. They can knock on our doors here, come to the office, and offer their help. And you see, people need to know that for us to have peace, we need to help the Peace Council to prevent conflict. We need to help the Peace Council to prevent conflict. And that is where it is good we solicit from the public more help for the Peace Fund. I think we will be relaunching it or find a way of bringing up the idea, the whole
Right.
thing again, so that people can help the Peace Council have the fund. Because if we have that fund, we can do more. We don't have to rely on government or on other funding agencies.
Perhaps we would have a little time to talk about the evaluation you did. What did you observe?
We did an evaluation in Koforidua, inviting all the stakeholders, so the various political parties, the Electoral Commission, the security services, all who were involved in the election. We invited them, and we realized that there is a certain openness and frankness to discuss what went well and what didn't go well. So we came up with a whole list of positive and negative things addressed now to the various organs that are involved so that we can improve for the next election. And so certainly the Peace Council will follow it up with these stakeholders.
So let's start off with some of the things that went well. What went well?
The major thing that we said went well was a certain reduction in the language. Yes, there was a reduction in that. There was more discussion with the Electoral Commission by the various parties. You know, NDC went out of IPAC, but then they came back. So that was also a positive thing.
I see. And what were the things that you think come 2028 or as we enter by elections, we could take note of as a country?
We would need to improve on the post-election process. So after the voting, so between the end of the voting and the declaration of results, we need to improve our system to make it more transparent and to give, because that will give assurance to the party members not to think they have to be there at the collation stations, and how the results are transmitted. We need to work on that.
I see. Did you hear about the petition for the removal of the three chairpersons of the Electoral Commission?
Yeah.
The main chairperson and her deputies.
Yes, I heard about that.
What does the Peace Council think?
That is the unfortunate part, that should this happen, then we are still going in a partisan way. There may have been mistakes, or they may have faltered in one or the other thing. But if we go into this system of every 4 or 8 years changing the Electoral Commission, especially when it is a different political party in power, then we enforce this impression of partisanship even for these offices. And that will not be good for our democracy.
I see. Should this process go through against the chairperson and her deputy?
It depends on the president, because it is to him that they have presented the petition. He should study it together with the Council of Elders to see what is the best thing to do. Because if we continue to create a situation where people suspect that there are partisan inclinations, it will not be good for the country.
From your evaluation of the 2024 elections, did they do well?
There was an improvement on previous elections. There
But
was an improvement, but we can still do better.
Okay.
As I said, we found out that there were some things we didn't go well.
I mean,
we
but
can improve.
in terms of their ability to run the elections, in terms of the ability to have learned lessons from the 2020 and not to repeat them, what does the Peace Council think about their performance?
I would say based on our engagements with them within the 4 years before the election, we think they have advanced. They have made a step ahead. Certain things we mentioned to them, they listened and they implemented them. But we need to continue to improve our election process. It is never perfect.
Should they be removed?
It will not be to me to decide, because I don't see why what the one who presented the petition, I do not have the content of why he says.
The one who presented the petition is a staff of the Electoral Commission and does not think that they have been discharging their duties effectively.
Now, a question I will ask, you see, there is also co-responsibility. If you are a staff and something is not going well, what did you do to correct it or to make your leaders aware? I think it will not be good just to sit and say, let me wait, then I can put in a complaint or a petition. We should be one another's keeper, and we should learn to work, collaborate as a team.
Most Reverend, I'm out of time. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Indeed. Most Reverend Emmanuel Kofi-Fiano is chairperson of Ghana's National Peace Council. We've been discussing conflict resolution, conflict prevention, religious tolerance, and also how to keep this country safe from unruly behavior amongst our politicians during elections. And you too, right? If you missed parts of this interview, you'll find it on our social media handles. This is Hot Issues, and I'm Kemini Amano. Bye-bye.